Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with FX Market Insight for Wednesday, the 5th of August. Right, as we charge through the Asian session. Now, trading conditions are pretty good, but that initial surge we had last week on the dollar sort of corrected. It's got a lot of currencies in limbo, and I'll show you that in a second. Market driver, well, US equities were slightly up, which gives you a bit of a slight risk on sentiment. Okay, and that seems to be the way the currencies are behaving now. We had a lot of things lighting up last week with direction and early sort of this week. Now, coming into Wednesday, it's all sort of correcting in the middle of that. And really, there's only one standout that I can see, dollar CAD. And it's the main level you're looking to sell back towards is 133.40. It's got to rally about 40 or 50 points to get back to a decent level to get me interested, right? Otherwise, the rest of the pairs are in limbo. Now, let me just give you a look at the charts. And this happens quite frequently when you see the dollar have a bit of a transition from going down to up and then stalling. Now, what you've got to do is basically, let me just get the pen here. You can see, obviously, the currencies want to continue back up, but then they've lost that momentum, right? So, and you look at euro, it's completely diffused. That false break trade on sterling, still in play, but only just. But nice to see it's still going back up. And then there's dollar CAD, which is the standout, right? So oil rallying, hurricane, US, we saw this a couple of days ago. It was on the cards, right? Monday especially. So that was sort of ripping through, I think, sort of New York and what have you today. Now, with the charts, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is we're going to wait for better momentum and more levels. And if anything, on your charts, you're just going through the process of updating your charts. Now, I'll just sort of give you a bit of a look at what I'm sort of doing here. Now, I know where that trend line is at the bottom. You're just redrawing the support and resistance trend lines basically to the new levels that have been set, right? So, and that's all you can do at this stage. This is pretty much very important for your preparation. Okay, the Kiwi will have a top here. Just got to go and find it. And what that does for me, it refreshes all the levels, right? Well, there's the most recent high there on the hourly charts. That's how far I've gone back. Okay. Now, if I want to just check that, let me just get onto that level. Okay, now if I go to the daily chart, I'll just wind that out a bit. Yeah, you can see that's pretty much where it is. There's a high way over here. Tell you what, I like that better than this one, because it gives me the exact top of the whole run. And that's this level here. It probably necessarily isn't resistance, right? As in really solid. It's only got 2 touches. But what you want to be, you're looking for is, what was that level? Because that's where it's going to take off again from above that high, 67.11, right? So that's the way you sort of go back and do your charts. And basically you're doing this across the board. Just refreshing those levels, get your new support and resistance levels. Now this one here, let me just go back and find where that started. Okay, easy to go to the daily charts, flick through that. Okay, there's that sucker there, right? So this new high, I mean, there are no levels above here. So same sort of thing as that I was just looking at, was it on the Kiwi? This isn't really, I'm not going to be looking at this as like solid resistance. But you know what? That's where that high is, and that's where people will be placing stop losses above 119.04. And on this one here, right? So what we're finding is the new support and resistance levels, and they are going to enable us to make trade decisions once the currencies get close to those levels, right? It's the same across the board. Hang on, I've dragged the whole thing there. And onto there. Now, if I go back to the dailies, we'll find that high point for sterling. Right, so back to this point here. So this is an important process to go through. Now, obviously that was the previous high that it's sort of broken through. And the same thing, once again, I'm not going to be looking at this as really solid resistance, but I am going to be looking at it as that's the only level on the top, a level for me to focus on, right? It's different because it hasn't got that many touches on it. So 131.62 and 130.04 for sterling. Now, Dollar CAD, right? Dollar CAD is the pair to me. Now, let me just give you a look at this dollar CAD in a couple of different time frames. Hourlies, okay. We've got the trend going down, started trading sideways, and now it's picked up. I think this is a lot to do with the hurricane. And you can see here on the daily chart where it broke through this level. I might have to just blow that up a touch for you, give you a better look. Okay, so it's gone down through this. This line here is going to act as resistance. Now, as long as oil continues to rally, I'm looking to sell rallies on dollar CAD for sure. The rest of the pairs, you know what? It's not really appealing for me just at the moment, right? They're not near support. They're right in the middle of limbo. I need something more on the US dollar to get me interested, right? And so if you look at the dollar index here, look at this sort of messed up price action around these trend lines. And you've heard me saying there's loads of resistance levels on the top side, so the dollar's going to do it tough anyway. And but one good thing to look at is here, the dollar is drifting lower against everything, right? Which is a good uniform, good trading markets. But you know what? We don't really have the levels. Dollar one's taken a nosedive. Probably some news here. Let me just flip you over to the news, give you a quick look at that. And this is where you've got to piece together, try and work out why other currencies in limbo or not. You got the TikTok situation that's going to be stirring up the Chinese officials. Stock markets in China grow, governance teeth, blah, blah, blah. There's bits and pieces here all over the place. Like dollar dented as yields dive on recovery ways. I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, if anything, the hurricane going through the States is probably a good thing. It's going to create growth and a lot of repairs if it's blasting the joint. And then you've got that crazy situation in Beirut and not much else happening. So the news hasn't fundamentally changed. What we saw over the last couple of days is a bit of a correction in the dollar. And now I think we're going to start to see this thing just slide back down to the downside. If anything, you're looking at if you're looking at that dollar index chart, it's probably lining it up here on that latest highest level, right? And that's, once again, you've got the resistance levels on the top side lining up. Oh, I've deleted that. So just keep an eye on that as you're going through the next couple of sessions, because at the moment, the dollar, to me, it's drifting sideways. We've lost that downward momentum. But, if it starts to just trade sideways, well, we're going to have sort of odd trading conditions for the rest of the week. But at the moment, dollar CAD, right, seller rallies, to me, is the best opportunity. And we are slowly inching towards the non-farm payrolls. We've got the Bank of England coming up tomorrow. So just hang on to your hat, because there's plenty to play for as we go through the rest of the week. All right, guys, have a good one. Cheerio.